Hey, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are right now. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time for this important PSA, public service announcement. I could have thought of something different. We could have said public travel agent announcement. No, anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about, so I need you to stop for just a minute. If the phone rings and it's a client wanting to give you a credit card, by all means hit pause and come back to us. But right now I have with us very special guests. If you don't recognize Chad Burt is one of the co-owners of Outside Agents and Cruises and Tours. And there's been something that goes back and forth a lot, and we sit and talk about it in the office, and we kind of scratch our heads and we try to help you guys out. But every now and then it gets to be at a point where we feel like something like this brief video might answer some of your questions. So Chad, what is the bone you got to pick? What is the issue today?
Dan, if I had a nail on the head, it wouldn't be a PSA public safety announcement. It'd be a price shopper advisory.
Wow, that's why he's the boss. Price shopper advisory. Very good. So what do you mean by price shopper advisory? What's up?
Okay, Dan, every day I get calls from agents going, well, how do I beat an online travel agent? How do I beat my consumer who's going to this website, that website, the other website, and they're coming up with a price that's 50 cents or $50 or $500 better than mine? What do I do?
Right.
And I give them the same answer. First of all, think it all the way through. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. But before you even get to that call where they're trying to beat your price, get ahead of the consumer.
Well, what do you mean by get ahead of the consumer?
Okay, so by now most of you guys have heard of this thing called Google. It's very popular.
I have.
Your clients are using this to create kind of a tennis match with you as their travel consultant.
Sure.
What they're doing is they're going out, they're doing their research, and I use quotations, air quotes, because it's not research, it's brochure reading online, but they're doing their research and they're coming back to you trying to beat your price. Right. It's a game to you. What the consumer doesn't know, and what most agents don't know, is that it is in fact a game. Let me tell you very briefly how it works online. When it comes to air, car, hotel, there's some variation online. I'll explain that in a minute. But when it comes to cruise, tour, and all-inclusive, your client didn't find a better price. They found something different. It's your job to figure out what that was.
Well, and to add to that, when it's cruise, tour, resort specific, that type of thing, generally the ads, like you said, they're looking at a brochure, it's going to say rates from. It's not going to have a specific date. Here at Cruises and Tours years ago, we used to run the ad in the Sunday paper, and it would say, you know, take a 14-day cruise for $1.99, you know, call us for more details. And the guest would call and they'd want to go on 4th of July, and of course that's $1 million to go on 4th of July, and if they want the $1.99 cruise, that was October 31st during a hurricane. So, you know, you got to make sure that you understand that the guests are not reading all the way through and they're not the travel agent.
Right, and that brings down to a few points. How do you address the internet issue? How do you get ahead of your consumer? Tell them right up front in your first consultation, you get their name, you get their contact information, you qualify. You may have heard this before from Dan. And then you start letting them know what's in it for them. Okay, basically this is going to sound horrible, but it's so true. The only question any of us care about in the commercial world, in the buying and purchasing world, is what's in it for me.
Sure.
So if I can get the same price from you as I can from a giant, faceless, billion-dollar corporation, why don't I just buy it from the corporation? Get ahead of that. All right, man, I've got your information down here. I've properly qualified you. I think I found what you need. Now, I know that you're going to be out there searching and shopping and doing all that kind of stuff on the internet. I'm here to help you with that. Go ahead and do that. Search night and day, hours, weeks, months. Have your friends help you. Once you find what you think you want at the best price you think you can find it, just give me a call. I'll meet it or beat it. That's easy. My job is to help you understand what you're finding and how to make sure that you're getting the most value for the dollar that you're spending.
Right. We talk about meeting your guest's expectation, and as Chad said, qualifying your guest is meeting their expectations, finding out what they want to get out of their cruise. And, you know, to your point, you said, and I know Steve talks about this a lot, look, lady, if you're going to go online and shop until you can't stand it no more. But part of the value of a professional travel agent is if I've already obtained that qualification information, then I kind of know where to shop. I'm not going to go rambling here and there. So one of the values of using me as a travel agent to begin with is you're not going to waste all your time shopping the internet for God knows what are you looking at. You don't even know what you're looking at. You don't know if that's a good package, good itinerary, the date you want. You don't know. because you're not the professional. So if they're already shopping on the internet, tell them to bring you the best offer they found so far, and that you'll specifically look at the right date and match it up. If they aren't, say, well, one of the things is you go play with your kids and I'll do the shopping for you, because the rates are going to be the same either way. I'm the professional that's going to make sure you get exactly what you want.
Well, and I'll go a step further. Instead of letting your client use your quote as the benchmark for their success or failure while they're searching online, use their benchmark from their searches to be your benchmark of success. Okay, so here's what you found, Mrs. Smith. That's awesome. Give me a couple hours. I'll be right back with you. I'm sure I can improve on that offer.
I like that. And you know, one of the things that we all hear in the office a lot is, and you guys see it on the forum, you know, you did all this work and yet they went someplace else to one of these online agencies. How did I lose it? And this is part of what we're talking about today. How did I lose that sale? Well, you did just in fact what Chad just said. You gave them every piece of information. You became what I used to call a librarian. You were Google for them. You found everything they needed, so all they had to do is take your quote and then they had to go out and match it on their own. Why would you do that? You can't close a sale that way. Your job is to be a salesman. In fact, you know, Chad, to your point, I think there's been a shift in the market and a shift in the travel agents' call to action for what we do every day is probably not the right way to say it. But where before we were destination experts and we were cruise experts, and I could tell you how far down the hall to make a left to get on the elevator to go to the dining room. And I think nowadays it's a little bit more about being a closer, knowing how to get what the guest wants and pair the two of them up and get that credit card and move on. And this day of instant gratification, we've got to be a little quicker to that credit card.
Absolutely, close the sale. But here's the core of what's driving me crazy. Okay, and this is, we've been talking about doing this video for a long time, but it's driving me crazy. I had a conversation with an agent yesterday. She's an urbanite from a downtown Manhattan, okay, New York. So she's dealing with savvy city people who are just tearing her apart when it comes to this. And the point was, get ahead of it. Make the challenge. Issue the controls ahead of time. Don't react to what a client's telling you to do. Obviously, you're supposed to service the client, but be proactive in that reaction, if that makes any sense. Get in there, tell them what's in it for them, explain how you can beat internet prices. Let me give you a tip. Let me explain something to you. Dan, you know this, but you folks out there, listen. This is super important. There's a game going on online. It's called price parity. All of your major vendors nowadays require that we market what they call a published fare. What is that? If I go to Carnival.com and that cruise is $1,000, and I go to Chad'sTravelHut.com, a mythical website, that cruise is going to be $1,000 because Carnival's only going to let me advertise the published fare. Now, if you call me, there's all kinds of things I can do. I might be able to add in a third-party insurance at a lower cost. I might have group space that we can book into. I might have
Pre and post hotel.
Pre and post hotel. Other options to add value and improve dollar per mile, if you will, for the client that I'm not allowed to mention online. I'm not allowed to say it, which is fine. That's Carnival's, whatever vendor it is, product to control, and I understand that. However, for me to close a sale, maybe I need to add some value. Guys, when I was in my 20s, I could care less about insurance. Now that I'm in my, let's call it late 30s, I have insurance on everything. Okay, so travel insurance is important to me. Maybe that doesn't tickle a given client's fancy. I took my wife and 2 kids on a cruise out of New York here a year or 2 ago, and we wanted to stay an extra night in Manhattan. That pre-post cruise option. Why am I flying all the way up to New York with a 1 and a 3-year-old, by the way, and I'm not going to spend a night in downtown Manhattan? That post option. Let me give you one other example, and I'm trying to keep these quick, but let me give you one other example. This happened a few months ago. Client calls an agent and says, well, you know, I know you did a lot of research, but I beat your price by $50 on this $5,000 package, so I got to go online. The agent, smartly enough, said, well, hold on, send me what they sent you. And I passed it back and forth with you, with Steve, and a couple other agents. And after reading through this and really drilling down, what we found out was that the transfers from the airport to the property weren't included. Guess what transfers from the Cancun airport all the way down the southern end of Riviera Maya cost? About $100 a pop. So in fact, what the client was finding online was $150 per person more expensive at the end of the day. So the agent was able to meet the price, save the client money, and this is the core, this is the crux of what I'm getting at. She was able to get that street credit that said, oh, no, no, no. My agent did something that I couldn't do for myself.
Right.
And that's what you guys have to do.
I feel like, and again, we talk about it a lot. We talk about y'all a lot. Actually, we kind of do. We talk about it a lot because the three of us are taking the primary calls and monitoring this stuff, and we want what's best for y'all. And I think the thing that personally frustrates me from having owned my own business, relying on commission day in and day out to be able to pay the bills, is it seems like you said yourself they're being more reactionary. Your first thought is give up some of my commission. That would be my last thought, and then beyond last thought, I'd almost rather send them packing than give up my commission because I'm setting a precedence, then I'm cheapening myself and willing to give it up. And a $5,000 trip that I'm willing to give up $50 in commission off of, I don't see how $50 is going to make or break the guest decision. They sound like they've already made their decision, and I'm going to give up my hard-earned dollars. I see that a lot, and I know you and Steve see it a lot, and it I hate to say it, kind of like hurts my feelings that they feel like they have to give up their commission. What's your response to that when they talk about it? I know that there are times when that's necessary, but how would you position yourself as an agent under those circumstances?
Okay, I got a few things to say to that. One, in all candor, it offends me when a client wants to put me in that position because I'm going to assume that my clients have a job or had a job, and I'm going to assume that they expected a paycheck at the end of the week. So when they assume that I'm willing to give them part of my paycheck for the pleasure of serving them, I get a little offended. That's just a personal peeve. I'm going to put that aside. Next, if they're going to come to me and ask me for something, this is business. Okay, this is business. So if they want to ask me for something, I never give up anything without something in return. Now, that could be gratitude, that could be loyalty, that could be a number of different things. So if I get the sense that, hey, hooking up this client with a $50 discount is going to make their day and make them call me again, here's your $50, no problem. If I think that if I'm in the middle of a tennis match with a client, that they're bouncing back and forth between myself and another agent or direct booking and so on, and they're just wasting everybody's time to see the lowest price, then I'm going to make them give up or shut up. Excuse the expression.
Put up or shut up.
No, give up.
Oh,
We're trying to whittle me down.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Because at the end of the day, so they want $50. Great. And I've said, here's your $50 rebate. I said, great, let me think about it. They come back the next day and go, Chad, I found this for $75 less now. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and rebate $100 on this for you, but I'm going to need to have a deposit today. Do you want to put that on your Visa, MasterCard, American Express? How do you want to do that? First of all, I'm presuming the sale, not being shady. Second of all, I'm basically saying, sure, here's $100. Now, may I have your business now?
Right.
Not here's $100. Let's see if I can give you $150 tomorrow. Use it, give and take. Again, it's not being pushy. It's saying, okay, here's $100. Let's make a commitment here.
So what you're talking about and what we've covered so far is primarily big box agencies, online agencies, and we talk specifically mostly using Cruise is just an easy example. I talk
Right.
about it when I coach and teach you guys. It's just your easiest example, but whether it's all-inclusive, a tour, something like that, you put on the back burner. So let's readdress, let's go back to again, it kills me, and that's the point of this, is to help you guys out. So we're talking about giving up commission to not lose a sale and cheapening ourselves and all of this kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, but you should be doing this for a job, to earn money, because you need a job and you're working really hard to earn money. So why are you going to do something that's not going to earn you any money? So let's come back to airfare. Airfare and people shopping air and spending a lot of our agents' time on things like air and car fare, rental cars, and specifically just direct hotel bookings and stuff like that.
Let me ask you a quick question, Dan. Given the choice between beating your head repeatedly against the wall for, let's say, the next 24 consecutive hours and selling a domestic air ticket, which would you prefer to do?
Beat my head against a wall.
Let's take a look at that statement. This is an experienced man. Airfare is airfare is airfare. They take that price parity or published fare concept to the nth degree, which means They may be finding a different price, but let me explain to you how this works. Dan, I'm going to try to keep this brief, but you've heard me do this a million times on the phone.
Yes.
So a client calls you up and says, hey, I found a flight from here to wherever. It was $1,000. Can you beat the price? You go and look at it. Best price you can find is $1,100. Are you a terrible travel agent? No. What has happened is that the client is looking at seat A6 or whatever it might be on flight 1234, and while he's looking at that rate code, that seat is not available. Now the next available fare, remember the airlines are trying to maximize revenue.
Sure.
They want to sell you that ticket for the most amount of money possible. So they can lead you in from pricing just $1,000. Now while I'm looking at that $1,000 seat, that rate code may not be available. Now they're going to see the next available rate, which might be $1,200. But here's the thing, that might be seat A7. So you might be sitting next to somebody who paid $200 more.
A row in front of, a row behind.
Mm-hmm. And this is why major airlines are suing Kayak almost out of existence. For those of you who don't know what Kayak is, it's a meta search engine that searches multiple distribution channels, different websites at the same time. They're locking up that inventory, which is driving up the price for everybody. So airfare is a game, and here's how the game works. Me, as somebody who's doing this for a living, I'm only going to spend so much time looking for an air ticket that I'm going to make $12 on, literally 12 bucks. Mm-hmm. Your consumer is going to spend much more time trying to save that $200 that I discussed, waiting for that seat A6 to become available. So what do you do with air? Yes, I do it. I'm happy to do it for you in conjunction with a vacation package. Mm-hmm. However, I do not do standalone air, and you can tell them why. Now, when it comes to international air, use a consolidator. You might be able to make a few extra bucks because internationally the published fare thing doesn't apply. Again, don't overinvest yourself in it. I would much prefer that we only do air as a service, mm-hmm. and not as something that we're going to try to use to put food on our table.
To that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're using our Agent Studio website with the booking engine on it, you can select and choose to have airfare added on there as a booking tool, right? You can do airfare through
if you're
that,
using
right?
the paid version. That's
the
correct.
paid version. Okay. So what I learned, actually, we picked this up at Carnival when I was working at Carnival Cruise Line, is we found by listening on calls that a lot of our res agents would redirect a client to a website for like airfare or for pre and post hotel, saying that I can't get that for you, so why don't you go check here? What they were doing was sending them to the competition. They could see everything then. So if I had an Agent Studio site with the booking engine on it for nothing else, when you're booking people with packages, with tours, with cruises, with things that are actually making an income for you, and that same guest calls you back up and says, hey, look, Dan, that was a great trip last month that you sent us on, and we're not really ready to go on one yet, but I need to go to Omaha to visit a sick friend, and can you just get me round trip airfare? I'm going to stay at their house, and they're going to pick me up from the airport. You'll do that for me, won't you? Well, it's a good client. Of course I want to do it for you. I don't want to lose you. I'd go, absolutely. Please go to www.bookwithdan.com, go to my website, and pick out the air that you want. Select it there. You'll get a confirmation. I'll get a confirmation. You'll be helping me. I'll be helping you. Easy squeezy. Really? And you haven't sent them to, oh, I don't do that. Go to Orbitz or AmericanAirlines.com, and you didn't do the other extreme and sit there and beat your head against the wall for 24 hours for 12 bucks.
And let me toss in something else. I get this from newer agents all the time. And it's a valid question, but it's frustrating in the sense that there's a way around all these problems. When it comes to air, when I'm looking at this air ticket, and you might think to yourself, well, if I can get them a good deal on this airfare, then they're going to use me for that huge vacation down the road.
Sure.
That's a double-edged sword, because that consumer is going to invest more time into that than you are, mm-hmm. and is as likely as not to beat your price. So if looking at a $200 or $300 air ticket, they're able to beat you by $20, why on earth are they going to even risk talking to you over a $5,000 vacation?
Right.
You've already proven that you're not a good travel agent, when in fact, you're a great travel agent, or going to be a great travel agent. They just don't know how the game works.
It's a lot of selling yourself for what you are an expert in, instead of posing that you can be everything to everybody, and quite frankly wasting your time on something that's not going to earn you any income. You're not going to guarantee their business in the future. It ends up being a headache for everybody. I don't believe in specializing in only one thing. I think you should be an expert in your industry, but it's not harmful to tell a guest, you know what? I don't specialize in air, and quite frankly, the airlines don't pay us to specialize. You don't have to say commission. Say the airlines don't pay us to be a specialty and promote their business. So if you want airfare, go to my website and it will book it for you, and it'll still be all us together. You know, I specialize in luxury cruises, or I specialize in all-inclusives. Start defining yourself, set yourself apart. Don't try to be everything to everybody, and don't be afraid to tell somebody no thank you. If you're not earning business for it, then you need to consider how much time you're investing in it. And the kinds of things that Chad's referring to that we see cause greater headaches with you guys is the kind of things that wouldn't have earned you a lot of money anyway. You're beating your head against the wall to fight against an entity like the airlines that don't care if you make a nickel anyway. So, you know, in closing, what's the best way to summarize what we're bringing to them?
I know most of you haven't met me, but I'm kind of straightforward about stuff. So let me just.
We're both kind of blunt. It's kind of funny.
For the love of God, stay away from air. Just don't do it unless it's part of another package. Second, get ahead of your clients. Make sure that they understand that you know what you're talking about, and then if you don't, you have the resources to get them the right answer, and that at the end of the day, they're being fished for by the big vendors out there. You're kind of like the game warden as their travel agent. Mm-hmm. You're walking around and telling them what's the best way to fish, what's the best hook to get on, making sure that the players and all that get off the field. At the end of the day, if you think that you're getting beat up by a competitor, by a direct booking, by whatever, stop what you're doing and call us. So 3 key takeaways. Get ahead of the client, make sure that you're comparing apples to apples, and call us if you think you're getting beat up. I would argue that 99+% of the time, we don't have time for the details why, but trust me, 99+% of the time, we can meet or beat whatever your clients are finding online in terms of a cruise, tour, or all-inclusive.
Yeah, it's usually in the details. And it's not your fault to say you're missing those details, because your client has led you to believe that they've already gotten those details. So stay in control. I think that would be my takeaway, is your 3 points mean I need to stay in control of my business and what I'm doing, and don't let your client scatter that and let them take control over it. We're here for them, and we want you to call us. We want you to email us. We'll do whatever we can to help you close that deal. But get on top of it. Do the training that we offer. Watch this video again in case you missed one of Chad's points. He made some great points. We're not bringing this to you just because we really had nothing better to do today and we said, hey, you want to make a video? Actually, this has been something we've been talking about for a long time, because it comes up over and over and over again. And we want you guys to be successful more than anything else, because you know our motto, we partner with you guys, and our success is based on your success, and we firmly believe in that. So, Chad, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
I really
man.
appreciate it very much. You guys have a great afternoon, and as always, get out there and sell something. But don't sell air. You don't make no money off of it. See you later.
Have a great
Bye.
day.